All right. Thank you, Brittany. Well, obviously, Farmer Jim needs a lot of help to run his farm efficiently. So in Pennsylvania, the land grant college is the Penn State University, which I'm a proud student of. And we have with us today Emily Freed, and she is a dairy extension educator for Penn State. So she'll talk a little bit about farm safety and her career. So without further ado, here's Emily.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. I know we're really excited to learn all about safety on the farm with Emily. So I can see Emily's getting her headset on. So thank you, Emily. And hello, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. And I would love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background. And then you can dive into what we're talking about today, which is farm safety.
Okay, great. Thank you. So my name is Emily. I am a dairy educator based in Union County, so the central part of the state. And I started this job just about a year ago. Before that, I was in grad school in upstate New York. And before that, I got my bachelor's degree at North Carolina State University in animal science. So my job is super cool because it's basically my job is to help farmers solve their problems. So every day looks different. I could be on farm doing a milking evaluation, helping farmers improve milk quality. I could be doing a feeding evaluation, helping them improve feed efficiency. Or I could be doing things like this where I give a presentation on farm safety. I'm also involved in a research project. And so it's a really diverse job that changes every day. Are there any questions before I start talking about farm safety?
No, but that sounds incredible. Well, actually, I do have one question. Whatever got you
Okay.
interested in wanting to do this as your career? I just think it's very, very intriguing and different. So,
Yeah, so like I said, I went to school for animal science. I thought I wanted
right.
to be a veterinarian. I did not grow up on a farm. And so when I got to school, I quickly realized I did not want to be a veterinarian. And I got involved in a few clubs at school that introduced me to dairy, and just, kept getting more involved and getting experience with it. And that's how I ended up here.
That's
So yeah.
awesome. Awesome. I love it. All right, yeah. So let's talk farm safety. I'm sure you're going to tell us what's sitting in front of you here. So I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
Yeah. So this is a PTO simulator, and that stands for power takeoff. And so this is one of the most dangerous parts of a tractor, and it sits at the back of the tractor and spins extremely fast, like 1,000 RPMs, and it basically transfers energy from the tractor to whatever you're pulling, and allows that equipment to work. And so basically, one of the reasons it's so dangerous is because if your clothing or your hair gets caught in this, you yourself can get sucked in. And there's farming accidents every single year in Pennsylvania with PTOs where people lose limbs or even, are killed. So it's super important to learn safety around PTOs. The first thing to know, yeah, one of the most important things is that when you get off a tractor, you should always turn that tractor off. And you should also make sure that the people around you know how to turn that tractor off. So if you're pulling a trailer through a hayfield and you have people throwing hay up onto that trailer, they should know how to turn the tractor off just in case an emergency happens. Another thing is, when you get off and if you are going to work on a PTO, it's important that the tractor off, the PTO is not engaged so that you cannot, get injured by it. So usually these PTOs on newer tractors have safety shields on them. So ideally they would never be taken off, but sometimes they do need to be taken off to work on the PTO. So it's just very important that the tractor is off. Other general tractor safety, if there are not two seats on a tractor, there shouldn't be two people sitting on a tractor. So, people love to bring their kids along on a tractor. But if a tractor tips over and you're not in the seat and you're not wearing a seatbelt, you're way more likely to get injured by that tractor. A lot of newer tractors nowadays have ROPS or a rollover bar, and that really protects people when that tractor can flip. And so if you have the opportunity to drive a tractor with a ROPS, that's super important. There is grant money available through Penn State to put ROPS on older tractors if you're interested in putting a rollover bar on a tractor. Let's see. Another thing when operating equipment to be aware of is, who's around, who's on the farm. It's pretty typical for kids, dogs, cats, whatever, to be running around a farm. And so it's important that those kids know to stay out of the way, and that, they stay out of the blind spots of equipment, and to always check your surroundings before you back equipment up or you start equipment up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another aspect of farm safety, here in Pennsylvania, we have a lot of upright silos. And when silage ferments in these silos, it produces silo gases. And that's another thing that causes deaths every year here in Pennsylvania. So it's really important that if you're climbing a silo, to make sure that you have 3 points of contact at all time on the ladder, meaning 2 feet, 1 hand, or 2 hands and 1 foot, just to try to prevent slips and falls off that ladder. If you need to go in, you should run the blower for 30 minutes to an hour before you go in. Try to avoid going in as much as possible, especially during the first 3 weeks after you put silage in. That's when silo gases are the highest. You should have the blower running if you have to go in. It's ideal to have an oxygen mask if you can. And you really should be wearing something that someone could pull you out of there if needed. Because usually what happens is one family member will climb up the silo, go in, get overtaken by silo gases and pass out, and they can't get out of the silo. And so another family member climbs up the silos to try to get them out. And when that happens, it's usually a pretty big tragedy with multiple family members. So if you are a family member or an employee, whatever, and you see someone go into a silo and they don't come out, don't follow them. Call 911. It's definitely an instinct to follow them, but odds are you will end up in the same situation that they're in. Another thing with calling 911 is to make sure that everyone who is working on your farm knows your farm address and could give directions to an emergency vehicle if needed. And so when I say everyone on your farm, I mean the milk truck driver, an extension agent, the nutritionist, anybody that comes onto your farm. Because really what could happen is, someone like a veterinarian could show up and, find that a really tragic farm accident has happened, but when they go to call 911, they don't know what address to give or how to direct them to the accident. So what a lot of people do is put their address in their milk house where it's easily visible and everyone knows that it's there just in case of emergency. Let's see, what else? Yeah, okay, so we're gonna have our Dairy Princess try out this PTO simulator for us.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so basically what this simulator shows is what would happen if your sleeve were to get caught in the PTO. And it shows how fast you would react and how far you would get pulled into the PTO.
Oh,
So, yeah, I'm gonna have you put your arm super close, like balled in a fist, put it right there. Okay. All right, just give me 1 minute to set this up. Okay, put it a little bit closer. Thank you. All right, let's see. Don't move. I need you to stay close. This thing is very finicky. So usually when a tractor accident happens, you don't expect it. You're not, you don't know it's coming, so you don't have a lot of time to react. So the advantage for her is that she knows this is coming. So she's probably going to have a faster reaction time than if this was a surprise.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start this, let it get up to speed, and then hit the button to start the test. So it's just going to be random. Like, I don't know when it's going to happen either. And so this is going to catch. And whenever you feel that catch, it's not going to be a very hard tug. Just pull your arm away. Okay. All right. So here you go. You can work on your tractor. Okay. Let's see. All right. Move your arm back a little bit. Thank you. Okay.
PTO is going.
Yes. Okay.
Ooh.
So it took you 0.4 seconds to react. This is pretty hard to read in the sun. So in that 0.4 seconds, you would have gotten pulled into the PTO 29 inches. So that's probably your whole arm. And so it just goes to show that you really don't have time to react. You're not going to jump out of this and be okay. You really just need to practice PTO safety so you're not put into a position where you would get pulled in.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great point. That is a really cool simulator. So do you get to use that simulator as working in dairy extension and being a dairy extension educator? Do you do this presentation? I mean, I think it's very educational, but from a career standpoint, how often do you get to do this kind of stuff? Who's your audience normally? Is it normally farmers or students, or how does that look for you?
Yeah, so this year I've actually given this presentation probably 4 or 5 times, and usually it's to groups of young kids because, they're some of the most vulnerable people on the farm. They just may have never been taught PTO safety. So that's usually kind of the audience we target with farm safety. I mean, we target adult audiences too, but a lot of the times it's kids. But generally, usually when I'm giving presentations, it's to dairy farmers or members of the dairy industry. Sometimes it's also members of the public who are, interested in learning about dairy farming, want to know about it from someone who's actually been on a dairy farm before. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting. You've done this one. What are some other pieces of your job? Obviously, farm safety is really important, and we have loved getting to learn about this. But just taking a sidestep a little bit, what are some other things you get to do as part of your job as an extension educator?
Yeah, so it's different every day, which I really enjoy. And I can kind of make it what I want it and kind of work on things that I'm interested in. But for example, I'll talk about what I did this week. Earlier in the week, I was down in Lancaster working on a project that deals with immuins and feed efficiency. And then I was in State College. Today I'm here giving this presentation. And then tomorrow I'll be doing a calf workshop back in my home county for farmers in that area.
Wow. So. Okay, so you really get to travel. You get
to I
work.
have seen a lot of the counties in this state. That is for sure. Yeah.
That's pretty cool though. I mean, and so if it's someone who likes to travel, someone who likes to help educate, I mean, anybody really, and this is agriculture is specifically what you're doing, but and then do you get to work across all sectors of agriculture, or do you really focus on dairy farmers, or do you get to work with pork producers or anything like that too?
Yeah, so I'm strictly a dairy educator. So the way Penn State Extension is set up right now, there's livestock educators, dairy educators, poultry educators.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty specialized. And so, in some states, you would have an extension agent who's responsible for knowing a little bit about everything. Penn State's a little bit more specialized. So we cover like a larger area than just one county usually.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. What
Yep.
would you count as your favorite part of your job?
Um, my favorite part of my job is definitely just getting to go to so many different farms. I learn something every single time I go to a farm, and it's really been nice because whatever I learn on the last farm, I can usually help the next farm with. So it's definitely a cool experience.
Yeah, that actually kind of leads me into my next question. You just mentioned you are learning as you're going, right?
Yeah,
As you get to
for sure.
experience new things. Because I believe you had said that you did not come from dairy or ag background at all,
Yeah,
correct?
no,
Um,
I
so
didn't. Mhm.
so what do you think has been the most beneficial thing that has happened in your life to prepare you for a career in dairy and in ag when you didn't come from a background in it?
Yeah, definitely the thing that prepared me most. During grad school, I spent 2 years living and working on a dairy farm.
Oh,
And I mean, I couldn't have beat that experience. I don't think I could come onto a farm now and try to give a farmer advice if I had never actually done any
done
of
it.
it before.
Right.
So I definitely think that was like the best thing that I could have done for
That's
sure.
awesome. Yeah, that was great. Now,
Mhm.
did you find that was it difficult to get that kind of job for you, or were there a lot of opportunities that were farmers welcoming? Because I feel like sometimes people are like, "Well, I don't know if I'll ever get it. I've never seen a cow." Is that something that they were welcoming to you, saying, "Yes, we'd love to teach you"? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so definitely I think getting experience at like my university dairy first to at least say, okay, I've at least seen a cow, helped. But a lot of people are very willing to teach you if you're hardworking and you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
And there's so many internship opportunities out there for people to get experience. So
Mhm.
there are definitely farms out there that will hire people who
Oh yeah.
have little to no experience for sure.
That's
Hmm.
awesome. Because I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes that maybe mentally is a break. People are like, I love cows. I think it'd be cool, but I
Yeah.
have no experience. Where do I start? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just about making that conversation happen and show your work ethic. And speaking of that, you mentioned work ethic being an important skill. What would you consider maybe the most important skill that you needed to have to be successful at your job?
Um, I don't know if you would call this a skill, but I definitely think for this job, you have to be outgoing. You have to be comfortable to talk to new people, to give presentations, to call people you've never met, to show up on farms that, you've never met the people. So you definitely have to be confident and outgoing and willing to learn for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. And now
Mhm.
you happen to have quite I mean, you went to college and then you went to grad school.
Mhm.
Is that the typical process of education to be able to be an ag educator or to be a dairy extension educator, or um, was there a different path you could have taken to still get the same job? What's the kind of schooling or training that you would need to have your career?
Yeah, so to get hired, you can get hired with a bachelor's degree,
Okay,
but to get promoted, you have to have a master's degree. And so usually
gotcha.
when you work as part of a university system, that university will help you go back to grad school. So a lot of my coworkers have done that while they've done this job.
Gotcha. Oh, I mean, and that's definitely convenient,
Hmm.
and a perk, right, of
Yeah, for
working with
sure.
the school then, and then to
Hmm.
continue your education. So maybe it wasn't something you were really considering, but it's like, well, hey, if this means I can move on
Right.
further in my career, then it's never hurting to learn more. And I know we heard that from
Yeah.
Farmer Jim too. It's never hurts to learn more. So I
Yes,
love
that
that.
is for sure.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we wrap up with you today? Any
Um,
words of wisdom or anything like that?
I don't think I can think of anything. Thank you. Thanks for all
Nope.
the questions.
Absolutely, Emily. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure getting to chat with you and learn about farm safety, and then also just really diving into your career a little bit. I think it's a really awesome opportunity and could be a very realistic career opportunity for some of the folks listening today. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.